Welcome back. Something I did not want to see back is back, and it's running crappy again. This Corvette, we finished doing the headlights on it, and a few days later he says, the car is running rough. What did you do to it? I disconnected a vacuum hose, but if you remember the other time before, we had oil in the distributor. I'll take a peek in there and see if it's got more oil in it again. Appears to be some. Let's see. Let me get this out of the way. Yep, we've struck oil. Black gold. Texas tea. But what the frig is it doing in the distributor? Look at all of this. Well, this is definitely got to get the axe. Does that look full to you? It looks over full to me. We're going to try to clean that up again just to see if we can get it to run a little bit better first. But I want to pull out a couple plugs and just take a peek at them. And first thing that I'm looking at is a Champion spark plug. I do not like Champion spark plugs in GM products. I always like to use the AC plugs, but let me see if I can get one of these out easy and just take a peek at it. Well, what do you think? Running a little rich? I would say yes, it is. All right, while we got all these out, we're going to run a compression test and see what's going on with everything. Make sure everything is up to snuff. Check this out. A new cardboard crate motor with easy spark plug access. Woohoo! All the plugs your car will ever need in one box. All right, we know you're home. All right, compression test. They're all around 200. Number two, we redid it once because it was kind of low. I didn't crank it enough, but confident that all of them are good. So we just have to wait for some new spark plugs and clean the distributor one more time. And they're going to fire it up so I could see where the timing is set. We got the Exxon Valdez of distributors cleaned up again, and we got a new set of plugs in the mail. This is what Blueprint Engines recommends, NGKs now. So we're going to put these in, 35 thousandths gap, and we're going to assemble that back together again and start it up and see if it runs well. But that distributor is still on its way out. And we got a little smidgen of anti-seize on the threads. That sounds much better. What do you think? Okay, where we're at. We flipped places over here. We're going to work on this side over here in this car. Waiting for a distributor. It's been about 4 or 5 days. It's still supposedly coming in the mail. So we're going to dump the oil on this. We'll take a reading on the timing to see what it's set at. And then we'll do the waiting game, waiting for parts. That's a satisfying sound. That is very dirty. All right, was this thing overfilled? I wanted to find out. So we took all the oil and dumped it in here. We lost some from the filter, so that's more than 5 quarts here right now. So maybe it was a little overfilled. So we will refill it. I'm going to question the dipstick's accuracy, possibly. So we'll see what it reads after I put 5 quarts in. Finally, we got a new flamethrower in the mail. We're going to throw this thing in. And once we pull this thing out, I want to figure out what brand this thing is and what the hell is really going on with it. Why was it leaking so much? The PCV valve is good. There's a breather on this side, so it's not like the engine can't breathe and it's got to force the oil up. The oil was extremely dirty. That probably was a factor in why this was happening, but let's pull this old one out. We got the balancer set up. It's on top dead center right now, and number 1 is pointing right to that boss over here. So that's going to be our reference line, and then also the line over here for the vacuum advance. Pull this old one out. You got to take the bolt off from the bottom and drop the new one in. Okay, it's out. I don't see any markings on who made this. And of course, the gasket split apart. So now we got to carefully scrape that off without letting anything fall in. I might bust out the vacuum to suck it up while we scrape. This sucks, but it works great. Get it? Use the shop vac. This one has the perfect size. I hold it like right around here, and I'll go around and scrape and vacuum all the debris up so nothing goes down into the motor. Okay, the distributor dropped right in on the 47th try. I don't know what it is about the quality of parts, but everything just seems to take a lot longer to do. So we're pointing at where we need to be. If you never put a distributor in, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial. The gears need to mesh into the camshaft, but you also need to line up with the oil pump drive that's coming up from the bottom. That's a rod that has a slot cut in it that will mesh in with this. Chevy distributor turns clockwise, so you'll have your reference line pointing to the valve cover, and we had our boss that we were lining up to. So in order for the gear to drop in and point that way, it's going to have to start back further. The gears will mesh in and it'll drop in, and you want to end up pointing to where you need to be. At the same time, it needs to line up with the pump shaft. I made a little mark over there. So if that's off, you'll keep dropping the distributor in and it won't go all the way and be where you want to point it. So you have to get a long screwdriver, go down, turn it one way or the other. It's kind of hit or miss, and drop it in. I had an extremely hard time doing this one. I don't know if it was the size of the pump shaft to line up. Took me a long time, longer than it should have, but it finally dropped in and we got it set. I had my reference line perfect. I had this pointing perfectly to where it would be. So at that point, you could put the bolt back in the bottom, put the cap back on, and start to run the motor. So if you'll leave the bolt a little loose, you have your timing light set up, and then you could turn the distributor to change the timing. So sometimes you get lucky, and it'll be right on the money when you put it back in. So we'll see what happens when we go to start this up. Now, let's look at this thing a little bit closer too. I didn't get a picture of it, but the one that I put in, oil is pushing through this little gap here. The new one that I put in has a hole for oil to come in and lubricate the shaft, and another hole for it to drain out. This has nothing. And like I said, I don't know what brand it is. There's only a part number on it right there. That's it. So appears to be of a high quality billet, but if it was leaking after only a couple of years, I don't think it was that high of a quality. So, adios. Throw the cap on. New cap, everything's plugged in. All the wires are switched. And hopefully fire this thing up. And wish me luck. God, let the fumes clear out of here. Yeah, 12 degrees on the first shot. That's what it was set at before. That's what I'm going to stick with for now. But I know as soon as I tighten the rest of this thing down, it's going to shift. But I got to try it. So let me tighten it up a little bit and see if it stays there. All right. I bumped the timing to 14. It seemed to like it a little bit better. We are, idling at like 1,000 right now. When we drop it in gear, it should be good. Take it for a little spin, see how it runs. All right, that went well. Now we got to get back onto this thing. We got some wiring, and it's turning out to be a big, giant mess. Lots of surprises.